All right, 6 o'clock, we'll call this joint Public Works Finance Administration meeting to order. Roll call for each committee. Mary?
Supervisor Gens.
Here.
Nudo.
Here.
Brookhouse.
Here.
Gama.
Here.
Kashke.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Kirby.
Here.
Big member Ethan.
Here.
Big member Megan. Here. And big member Savannah. Here. For Public Works, Supervisor Grady.
Present.
Supervisor Belsky.
Here.
Franco.
Here.
Decker.
Excused.
Gama.
Here.
Gray.
Excused.
Meadows.
Here.
And big member Serda or Andrew Serda.
Here.
And big member Alexander Nardi.
Could I have Mary recognize that Timothy is also here?
Guess we'll have big member Timothy join us.
In the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the meeting up to citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Corporation Council, a resolution to approve the purchase of the property located at 11312 Burlington Road. Corporation Council.
Good evening, supervisors. I'll try to keep my presentation brief, as there's already been discussion about tonight's meeting, but I do think it's important to provide some background to this resolution. It is referenced in the resolution about Chapter 980. So Chapter 980 provides a means for certain offenders who have committed sexual offenses who are nearing the end of their criminal sentences to continue to be held for the purposes of treatment. These are individuals who are determined to be more likely than not to reoffend unless additional treatment is provided. The ability to continue to confine them after their sentence is concluded is premised on the fact that it is treatment, not punishment, and that they will be discharged at the time they're determined to no longer be more likely than not to reoffend. The final stage of this treatment process, referred to as supervised release, is community-based and is designed to help facilitate reintegration. Supervised release has to be ordered by the court following the making of specific findings that the individual has made sufficient progress in their treatment for it to be appropriate to move them to this final stage. Several years ago, the responsibility for locating a residential option for individuals for whom the court has ordered supervised release was transferred from the state to the individual's home county. Under the law, once the court determines an individual is eligible for supervised release and notifies the home county of that determination, the county is supposed to identify a residential option within 120 days and report that to the state and the court. Failure to do so can result in sanctions against the county. The law has certain specific requirements as to where a residential option cannot be located, specifying certain restrictions. When Kenosha County first received notice to identify housing, we attempted to follow the model that has apparently worked in other counties. We worked to identify available properties on the real estate listings that appeared to meet all the legal criteria and the restrictions, and then we provided those listings to a list of vendors who had either worked with or had expressed interest in working with the state on this program. Typically, a county identifies a property by connecting a willing property owner with or landlord with the state and advising that the owner is prepared to enter into a lease agreement with the state. We followed this approach unsuccessfully for several years. At one point, one of the judges handling these matters, noting our lack of success with the vendor model, ordered us to build or place a structure on the grounds of the detention center. In many ways, having some type of temporary dwelling on the KCDC grounds was felt to be the best solution we were likely to find. It was a property we already owned, it wasn't in a residential area, and it was already under constant surveillance. Unfortunately, while it is our property, it's located in the city and it's subject to their zoning regulation. We applied for a permit and had it denied on the grounds that the district was zoned IP or institutional park, and it didn't allow for any new residential construction. We submitted a second permit application attempting to tailor it to the language of the zoning ordinance and arguing that it really was consistent with the institutional use of the KCDC, and were denied a second time. While this process was playing out, I was regularly appearing in court before the three judges involved to update on the process, and was ordered by one of the judges to appeal that denial. For context, we did take it to the City's Board of Appeals and had that appeal denied as well. For context, the same judge initially ordered the city to appear to explain why they were impeding our efforts to comply with the court order. But when the city appeared, having filed a brief explaining why they felt they weren't properly under the court's jurisdiction, they were excused from further proceedings. I also want to advise, we had multiple meetings with various members of city staff and administration attempting to secure their cooperation with the KCDC project and were repeatedly rebuffed. At this point, we have multiple orders from the three courts, but the key piece of information is that all three have directly ordered the county to purchase property for the purposes of complying with the placement orders that were previously entered. One of the courts entered an order at the end of May, giving the county 60 days to acquire a property. We located the property that's the subject of this resolution, and I then attempted to work with two different outside vendors to see if they were interested in buying the property and leasing it to the state. One passed, and the other made an offer under the asking price, which was rejected. When I reported this to the judge, she ruled the order wasn't for someone else to buy a property, but for the county to buy one, and found the county in contempt. She stayed that finding and the sanction that she'd imposed to see how the county would proceed with the additional 30 days under the original 60-day timeframe. The day after that finding, we made our first offer on this property. That offer was rejected and the price of the property was raised. We then made a second offer at the new asking price and that offer was accepted. When I reported this to the judge last week and advised that we had an accepted offer contingent on board approval, she explicitly instructed me to make sure the committee and the board were aware that there are stayed sanctions pending, and that stay would be dependent on what happened next. Currently, the state sanctions are $250 a week, but it is my belief that that would likely increase if we remain out of compliance, and it is more than possible that the other two courts could impose monetary sanctions as well. All this is by way of long-winded prologue to say we're taking this step as a final resort. We're doing it in order to comply not only with state law, but also with direct court orders. And we're doing it because I believe the alternative is going to be potentially significant monetary sanctions designed to compel us to purchase a property and which would not relieve us from that responsibility. If we get hit by the courts with sanctions for having failed to buy a property, that would just be on top of still having to buy a property. This is not an ideal situation. Those of you who worked with me before know this is not how I would typically approach a real estate transaction. But between the current state of the housing market, where most properties are moving very quickly, more quickly, frankly, than a government entity can move, and the orders from the courts, this appears to be the best option available to us. The property is particularly advantageous because there are 3 bedrooms and 3 individuals who are pending placement. Once we acquire the property, we will negotiate a lease agreement with the state. While they haven't been willing to enter into those negotiations till we actually own the property, I have been advised that a likely rental amount would be between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. So there would be some revenue coming in when we enter into that agreement with the state. I am happy to answer questions, but I wanted to provide that sort of background and groundwork as to why we're here making this request.
Supervisor Belsky.
I just want to say on the record that I have tried to talk with city staff. I've tried working internally with our staff as well. And the wrong answer is it shouldn't be placed. A housing facility shouldn't be placed on the county property, county center on Highway 50. I believe it should have been at the detention center. That would be the proper place for it, not only from a staffing perspective, but from a safety perspective. And so I'm extremely disappointed with the city leadership that they didn't accommodate our request to change the zoning because it was something that could have been done. So I just wanted that on the record.
Chairman Grady.
So first and foremost, what assurances do we have, Corp Counsel, that this will comply with any zoning and will have a ability to do as we intend on this property?
So I mean, we've reviewed it internally. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. It is or was up until I believe the end of July being rented out by the owners to somebody else. So I feel comfortable that we could likewise rent it out if we were the owners.
So more to the point, who is the actual governing body for zoning for that parcel?
Well, it's in the Village of Summers.
So it would not necessarily have anything to do with the city of Kenosha in terms of what we've spoken about previously, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
That's my question for the time being. Thank you, Chair.
Supervisor Franco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How long will these three individuals be living in this home under supervised release?
Yeah, and that unfortunately is a question I can't give you an answer to because it's going to be, number one, dependent on the individual progress in the treatment process, and it's going to be beyond the county's control. The best answer I've been able to get from the state is that typically people are in this program for 3 to 5 years.
And so while they're in the home, living in the house, where's the rent coming from? You said 2,000 to 3,000 a month?
The state would pay us.
Oh, the state will
Yeah,
pay
the
up.
state will be paying us, yep, because we would be the owner of the household. I should also say, and I didn't want to get too far into the weeds, but just so that people are aware, for a minimum of, and again, so much of this is dependent on the individuals and how they progress, but for a minimum of the first year that they're in the program, they are under what amounts to house arrest. They're unable to leave the residence without a chaperone. As they proceed and progress, depending on how it goes, they're provided with perhaps a little bit more freedom, but even then, they're going to be chaperones and escorts. Those two are paid for by the state. All of the costs of the treatment is really borne by the state.
So let's say after 4 years, they are no longer in supervised release, they leave. Are we looking at this home as a future home for 980, individuals?
Again, with the caveat that, some of this is going to be beyond my control. Based on the information that I have, I am not aware of anybody besides these 3 individuals that are currently pending placement that's in the pipeline. I'm also not aware of any new commitments that are being filed. Some of this will be beyond our control, but I think the long-term intention would be that when we are finished with these individuals, unless we have reason to think that we will have further need for it for that purpose, that we would probably try to convey it to somebody, most likely some sort of commercial interest, which is in keeping, I think, with what that area's intended, future intended use. Is that correct, Supervisor Garrison, in terms of that area?
Yeah,
Because if no one's living there, we're not getting rent from the state.
Right. Yeah.
On the other hand, it was so hard to find some place like this. And considering we're paying for it,
So I think it's a determination we'll have to make as we get to that.
okay, thank you.
Supervisor Meadows, you had your hand up.
I think you answered my question since I raised my hand about how much freedom these people would have. This happens to be right next to the world's largest quick trip with a lot of traffic, and that was my concern, knowing that there's a lot of people there. But knowing that the house arrest is great. Is there?
I also believe they're under 24/7 monitoring. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it's 24/7 monitoring as well.
The condition of the house, is it going to need renovations at all after we acquire it?
So we did have staff go through it briefly, and it didn't seem, Matt Storino, didn't seem like he had significant concerns about the state of the house. Again, while it's no guarantee, people were living there up till 2 weeks ago, so it had to have been in reasonably good shape.
Okay.
It's maybe a little bit of stuff we're gonna have to do. And again, frankly, that'll be a negotiation, I think, with the state as well to see what costs they're gonna bear, which we will.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Gashke, you had your hand up.
So you said this is in the village of Summers. Is this land that's ultimately going to be annexed into the city of Kenosha, or this will be Summers?
it's Summers
Yeah,
property.
okay. Then my other question was that along the lines of what you said to Supervisor Franco, but you do not anticipate us needing more than 3 bedrooms, right? Based upon your understanding of the current situation, 3 bedrooms would be sufficient, and you wouldn't anticipate needing more than that.
I don't. I can't guarantee it, but I don't
Sure.
anticipate it at this time. No.
Okay. And then one final question, just to clarify, the reason we as the county are responsible to provide housing is because these individuals originally are connected to our community?
Yes, these are all Kenosha County residents.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Again, as a brief history lesson, prior to a change in the law about 6 or 7 years ago, the state had the same issues trying to find a suitable residential options in Kenosha County, as well as other parts of southeastern Wisconsin. And it got to the point where, judges in certain counties were beginning to, place people rather than in their home county where they could find a placement, which meant a lot of people from southeastern Wisconsin were being sent up to northern Wisconsin, and a lot of northern counties were getting very unhappy about this state of affairs. And so there was a change in the law that number one required they had to go back to their home county, and number two placed the onus on the county to do the finding rather than the state.
Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. You've had a chance. You're coming up. I want to ask 2 questions or make 2 statements. First of all, one of my initial concerns was, do they have to be separate units for each person? I.e., do we have to have a 3-unit building, or are they all going to be living in one, and is that going to be copacetic with the state? I asked you that question and you said,
Yeah, I've
you've researched that.
confirmed with the
We'll get
state,
that.
yeah.
My second question is, since they're gonna be chaperones and surveilling these people, what happens if something happens on our property? What about liability and, I mean, are
Again-
we at risk in any way?
Again, my belief would be that liability would fall to the state rather than us.
Okay. As long as that's on the record, that's good.
I'll defer to Supervisor Nudo.
Okay, Supervisor Noodle, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna have a few questions. First of all, Joe, thank you for sending a copy of the offer today. When I asked you, which was very important. I'm not gonna talk about the offer as of yet. Some of the questions that I had, you did answer them, in your presentation, which I congratulate you for that job. You had a tough job today, but you did a great job.
Thank you, appreciate
that. And now going back, and there were some comments made that the city did not want to cooperate with us. And that right now we're at the 11th hour, and the court gave us an order, which I don't know if you have a copy of the order from the
They
court.
don't, no.
You don't? Okay.
I don't know if it was ever reduced to writing, actually, but I don't have a copy.
Okay, so we knew about this for quite a while, that we needed a property. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, and that also I asked you for the county executive to be here tonight, because I'm gonna say a few things which I was involved with there. When I was chairman, we started talking to the city, which the city, the previous mayor was not in favor of putting it behind the correctional facility. That was talked, we talked about it, which I'll go into all that later, about trying to find a different alternative, which that was about 3 years ago. Nothing was done, because with the idea, oh no, we're gonna put it in. Then they went over, the board of zoning or whatever, they turned it down, they went to court, the court sided with the city, they appealed. Did we look to find a place, another spot to put these people there?
So, I mean, while we certainly spent a lot of time and effort on the detention center property, we were continuing to, on a weekly basis, send out listings to vendors to see if there was anything else that that anyone was interested in. I'll be very honest. I've been trying very hard to avoid this moment. I do not want us to become a landlord under the best of circumstances, and this is not the best of circumstances. I just don't know that we have any options left.
Well, maybe at this point, it seems like we don't have any options because we didn't do anything for 3 years. So, first of all, the legislative, this was back in 2017, when the state and the court were supposed to place the criminals, they're criminals anyway, in a spot. And the legislation changed, which I think the vote was about 83-7 in favor to put the burden on the county. And everybody from the Kenosha County representatives, they voted for that. So everybody knew this was going to come. And why would it not have one option that somebody mentioned was to put it behind our building on Highway 45 and 50. Was that even looked into it?
Oh.
Because we own the land, that could have been done, probably, but I don't believe that anybody looked at it. Now, the other thing, when you say that on a weekly basis, whatever you send it to vendors to find out what it is, what do you mean by vendors? So if we send it to all the realtors, we send it something to the realtors, what's available? Rural places, you will look on the other side of 94. It's my understanding, these are just rumors, that they didn't want to go on the other side of 94, where there's more rural spaces. This house might meet the letter of the law, but definitely not the spirit of the law. We have Amazon, it's 8 minutes away walking, where people, young ladies, young men, older ladies, everybody, they go in and out. These guys are not gonna be the worst of the worst for sex offenders. They are not gonna be watched for hours a day. The other thing, we have ice cream place, it's 3 minutes away from there. I mean, usually I really do take my grandkids there because it's more space where they can play around. I mean, it's gonna be hard knowing that it's there. And going back to the offer now, you mentioned that if we don't need it in the future, probably we're gonna try to sell it. And it's probably gonna be a commercial for commercial. In the offer somewhere, I believe it's line, sorry. It's line 446 or something like that anyway, but it's in the offer, yeah. There is a condition in there that if we sell it to a commercial spaces, the owner, they reserve the rights to take a lot of the trees, a bunch of stuff out of there. That's an order. Why are we doing that? To put it in the offer.
So to start with the last one,
Okay,
you're right, there is a provision, it's an odd provision, even the agent indicated it was not provision. The house has apparently been in one family for a number of years. I was told that someone's grandparent had planted these trees. And if we were going to sell it to someone who was just gonna come in and plow them under or, bulldoze them, they wanted the opportunity to come and take the trees so that they could use the wood to make something sentimental. That was the purpose for that.
but they don't say if somebody's gonna bulldoze it. I mean, if we're gonna sell it, some of whatever they're gonna put it there, which is material, it could be a resident, it could be anything, commercial. Well, they're gonna take the trees, because it doesn't say if they're gonna bulldoze that, then take it. Well, these days, they have the right to go in and take it out, because along all their stuff. The other thing is the price. I mean, it's completely irresponsible for us to say that we pay a minimum, and this is at a minimum, $100,000 more than what it's worth. The reason I say at a minimum, the property has been up for sale for about over 3 years. Before it was another property involved. They started $900 and some thousand. Then they start coming down on the prices. They sold portion of them, but for the last, I recall it exactly how many, but the last few months, the price was reduced. Over the time was reduced to $325, I believe, for quite a few months. The property didn't go anywhere. But as soon as the county is buying, because they know always overpay on everything, they increase the price by 100,000. So for a property in Kenosha County to be for that many months for sale and nobody buys, that means it's already overpriced. And on top of that, you're paying an extra 100,000. That's very irresponsible for us to do that. And besides anything else, I think that will be the biggest thing. That's pretty much, well, for now, because they say you did a great job trying to explain it with what you have, but maybe you better tough job. I would not want you to jump to my $250 million because you put it in a spot and it's like.
I'll take it for $1 million.
Well, I would not wait because he's gotta do what he's doing. the county knows that something. Why did we were put to be from this topic? So with that being said, I think I will make a motion to table this year until other options can be looked at.
There's a motion on the table to table this. Is there a second to that motion by anybody on either committee? Seeing none, that motion dies for a lack of second. Supervisor, Chairman Grady, you had the floor and sent it over to Supervisor Nudo. So do you have anything?
Thank you. Yes, I have both a comment and a question.
Okay.
Comment is, it is quite saddening that this could not have been placed at Kenosha County Detention Center. 24/7 security, got all the amenities that are needed, and the plan was to have a total of 4 units, 2 mobile home type arrangements located on the property. That was the proposition, and it would have checked a lot of boxes, would have made, I think, our jobs, certainly corporation councils, favors, much more efficient, and probably better outcome. Unfortunate that it is, the city does not agree with that plan. We are stuck with a less desirable alternative. It appears as though having 3 bedrooms in this particular facility at least serves our needs for the time being. So not being ideal is probably a doable proposition. The question part is, what is the zoning and what is the parcel size for this particular property?
And let me see if I have that. I know that it's zoned residential, that I know. I have this.
Actually drove out there. I should. Okay.
It looks like the parcel is 0.68 acres.
So just between 1/2 and 3/4 of an acre. So it's got some acreage to it. So when you take a look at the whole price of the thing, yes, perhaps we're paying a bit above market to go for the 425 and so forth. But for a place like that, that is on a main thoroughfare directly adjacent to a going concern, which is Quick Trip, value of the property is in the land. So it's not in the house. Correct. So the house can be what it is for the time being and it'll serve our needs. But I don't think that in view of today's marketplace, the $425,000 is totally outlined. So closest residential to what is now commercial, all the way to the west, interstate. So that's my comment. That's my question. I yield the floor.
Supervisor Belsky.
Council Cardamone, what would be the repercussions or the consequences if we do not make this deal, if we don't vote this resolution and it doesn't pass through the county?
Well, I can't say for certain. It's certainly my expectation that at a minimum, the one judge who's already essentially cautioned me last week would almost certainly lift the stay and may very well raise the amount of the sanction as well. It would not surprise me if the other 2 judges followed suit, but I don't know that for sure.
And is there any repercussions from the state? Because isn't it a lot? I mean, we have to house them.
Well, I mean, the repercussions, I think, would be the financial sanctions against us.
Okay, so they're much greater, and that's the point I wanted to get to, than the $425,000.
I think it could quickly add up, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Franco, did you have your hand up?
I just said, what's the square footage of the home? Is there, I'm just curious. On a 2/3 of an acre, right?
It's 1,180.
So it's not a big home. Yeah, I think the value has to do with the land more than anything else. You know, it's interesting. I looked on Zillow just for kicks and giggles, and guess what the price on, not that Zillow is the be all and end all, but it was $425,000. So I'm thinking that's probably where they got this. I don't know, but it was exactly the same price on Zillow. So anyway. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Gearston, you had your hand up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to court counsel, has there been any formal document submitted to the county of objection from the village or town of Summers?
No.
Thank you. And I also looked it up on Zillow, and I looked up some other properties on Zillow, so that's a silver lining here. The one next door that's not impacted at all is only 0.3 acres, and that one is 338,000. A high range would be higher than that. This one is 0.6 acres, and the high range of Zillow is 437. And again, putting it in perspective, we years back decided to buy a house next to Brookside, and we paid $249,000 for that house. And had we waited till today, the price of that is $375,000. So there's no question that we would have to, if we waited, we would have to pay more. But in this case, we should be able to recoup our initial investment, if not more than that, especially if you net it against the rent and the impact of any legal sanctions. It'll probably work out as a net positive financially for the county. That's the way I see it. So that's a silver lining to this whole thing. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. Like to make a motion to approve the resolution to purchase property at 11312 Burlington Road.
It's been moved by Supervisor Pelkey, seconded by Supervisor Gowan. Any further questions, Supervisor Nudo?
Okay, just a couple things. One is, was the village of Summers, what is it, chairman or president, I think, Stoner, was he notified that?
I spoke with President Stoner.
Did they have any did not have any objections?
The conversation frankly went a lot better than I was expecting it to. I don't know that,
Well,
I would say that he was thrilled, but I think he also understood the position we were in. And he noted that there could be considerably worse locations in terms of the fact that it's not a primarily residential area.
okay, Bristol is right next to it, pretty much, almost on the line. Was Bristol notified that that's what?
I did not reach out to Bristol.
Okay, because I remember a couple of years ago, we had something and there was a big deal because not all the municipalities were notified. And now all of a sudden things change, but that's not your time. Going back on the value of the property, where we say it can be worth this, it can be worth that. I mean, the market speaks for itself. I mean, that's all real estate. Maybe I wasn't any good about it, but that wasn't real estate for 4 years. The chairman was real estate for a long time. Kenosha, what's going on in Kenosha for a property to stay on the market for months, which usually it just sells within hours or days. And this property did not sell at $325,000. That means the property was not worth $325,000. So at 435, 425, whatever we're paying around, we're not getting a deal. We're just throwing at least $100,000 of the taxpayers' money, and that is completely irresponsible to do that. And for that reason, we're gonna vote against this resolution, and I hope that everybody else will do it.
Okay, sure. I'm just gonna say that I can appreciate going back in time and having all of it brought up, thinking about the future and what we may do at the future. I'm looking at it at the crossroads right now. Okay, what is best for our county right now? And if it means paying 50 or 100,000 more, and I'm not gonna say that that's true. I understand being on the market for a while, but I've also watched starter homes go from 120,000 in my time to 320,000 now. I don't know how kids starting out, but I digress. Anyway, I'm looking at it right now, and I think if we sell this land commercially down the road, we'll make more than we're paying now. And even if we don't, we are by the state ordered to do something with this. This is the best course of action we have right now. And we've had years to come up with a better one, and we haven't. So this is it right now. And I think that we are doing a service to our taxpayers by not having them pay fines. We're getting money from the state for rent. I think this is a good situation and I will be supporting it. Thank you. Supervisor Gearston.
Mr. Chairman, would you like separate motions from the two committees?
No, we'll take,
Okay, all right.
I'll take one motion, but then each committee will vote on it
Right.
themselves. Because we are a joint meeting right now, so I'm not gonna, so, right, go ahead.
And then one comment is, thank you for answering that. Otherwise, I would offer a motion, but I, just want to say to the committee that I believe it is the responsible thing to do, financially. So that is my view. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call on this and we'll do finance first and then public works second. The motion on the floor is to approve the resolution. Mary, if you could call the roll for each committee and we'll take a vote on it.
Supervisor Gens,
Aye.
Doodle,
No.
Pearson,
Aye.
Burkhouse,
Aye.
Gama,
Aye.
Yashki,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
For Public Works, Supervisor Grady,
Aye.
Belsky,
Aye.
Franco,
Aye.
Gama.
Aye.
And Meadows.
Aye.
Youth and governance.
Youth and Governance. Youth Member Ethan.
Aye.
Youth Member Savannah. Youth Member Megan. Youth Member Alexander. Not here. Youth Member Andrew.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes each committee. At this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
It's been moved by Supervisor Gearston, second by Chairman Grady to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed that want to stay? Okay, that passes. We are adjourned. This time we'll call the meeting to order, finance meeting.
Of our general fund.
This time we'll open the meeting up to citizens' comment. Wait. We'll do a roll. Mary,
Supervisor Gens,
here.
Noodle,
Here.
Brookhouse,
Here.
Gama,
Here.
Gashki,
Here.
Gertson,
Here.
Kirby. Here. Yig Member Ethan.
Here.
Yig Member Megan. Here. Yig Member Savannah. Here. And Yig Member Timothy.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll open the meeting up to citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Reports from the chairman. We're gonna have a special finance meeting on August 19th at 7 o'clock, so that'll be before the county board meeting to go over the bond sale. Also at this time, I'd like to, I know most of you probably already know, but the Kenosha County has retained our AAA bond rating, which is a very big deal. And we were just notified of that, so we save taxpayers thousands of dollars by having good credit. That's what it breaks down to. And I've been doing this for 18 years. And my mentors and predecessors looked at this as a goal and a dream. And we've achieved it. And I just want to thank Kenosha County, the finance committee, the finance staff, the whole county board, and everybody involved in this. This is a big deal for Kenosha County. There's only seven AAA counties of the 62 in Wisconsin. 72 in Wisconsin. I mean, that's even better. So, kudos to us in Kenosha County for that. Reports from the committee. Any reports from the committee?
What time was the special meeting?
At 7 o'clock
Here.
here.
It'll actually be in the auditor's room because there's a legislative committee meeting at the same time.
What? All right.
So
So it'll be the auditor's room right over there.
I'm just pick which one I go to.
What?
I'll pick which
I was
one
gonna
go
say, we're both on legislative and finance, so yeah.
We'll see where your work is lying.
Yeah.
We were told legislative would be brief. I assume it will be, so.
Approval of the minutes, July 10th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
It's been
Second.
moved by Supervisor Gama, seconded by Supervisor Gearston. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes pass. Land information, a resolution to accept and utilize Wisconsin Land Information Program grant funding for Kenosha County Land Records project activities. Scott?
Good evening.
Wow, you ninja'd up there. I didn't even see it. Way to go.
Good evening. My name is Scott Schulte. I'm the Director of Division of Land Information. I am bringing before you today a budget modification. We were made aware of a Wisconsin Land Information Program grant in the amount of $20,000 last October. Because of the timing, it was not inserted into the budget last fall, and we normally bring it for a budget modification in February or March. We had some changes at the county level in the early portion of the year that made us switch directions and choose a different project to go with. That project was vetted by our Kenosha County Land Council, which is a statutorily created council that's responsible for overseeing the use of these funds. The grant monies must be used for land information projects. And what I'm proposing here today is to insert the $20,000 into the land information budget, and it has a corresponding $20,000 expense for two different projects. Roughly half will go to each. The first project will be the update of our delinquent tax management application that contributes to our AAA bond rating. And then the second project is for our Esri mapping software. That's an enterprise upgrade that we need to be desperately done. It's something that sits in the background that most of you don't notice, but it does drive our very popular interactive mapping application on the website. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have on inserting this grant into the budget.
Just to make clear, we already have the grant funds and you're talking about repurposing them. That's why you said it has to go to certain things in land information, correct?
Correct. I have the check for the grant
All right.
on my desk right
All right.
now. As soon as we get this inserted, I would then deposit it into the account.
Okay. Supervisor Gearston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair to Mr. Schutze. So you talked about it being used for our tax delinquency program, which I'm familiar with. You mentioned that it's important to keep our AAA, which but we want to make sure we do a good job of collecting that. Is this piece going to have anything to do with helping keep track of properties that we take, keeping track of those costs so that when we come to committee, we can do a better job of having that analysis in front of us? Right now, my understanding is we're doing it on a spreadsheet.
Yes, it will. It's as soon as a property goes into delinquency, it starts being tracked in that application. That application is being used by the clerk's office, corp counsel, land information, planning, and the treasurer's office as well.
So I'll continue with on the same line. So if that's okay. So if we do this, right now we have to take these properties, we have to go to, we get them appraised to determine the value, then we go to market with them. But we need to know the costs all in when we're doing that, because of that Supreme Court ruling that says that if the former owner could actually have a recovery if they're not careful with what we do. So we really need to do a good job of tracking that. Will this new update address that?
I believe so. I have one small piece of that application. That question might be better posed to either our treasurer or our corp counsel if you'd like. There's someone from our corp counsel office that may be able to help answer that.
Mr. Chairman, could we have the clerk comment on it? I see her raising her hand. Okay.
So what he's speaking about is what my office does. Then the current tax deed app is not applicable. We were the last section to be developed. And then as soon as it became live for us, COVID happened. And so the bugs never got cleaned out of our section of the application. And then the law changed. So the process changed, and the process has not been updated within the tax deed app. And so for us, the tax deed app may be very useful to the other departments. For the county clerk's office, it is not. It's not very accessible for us. And that's, and we've just been going on, like, we got to take care of this stuff. We can't mess around with what that is, right? I mean, and so there's supposed to be an area in there for us to keep track of expenses and that, but it's not real accessible. And then after the property sells, we like no longer have access. We lose access to it, so we can't even see what we spent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was the discussion I wanted to try to learn about, which I'm not sure if this update will address that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but if you're working on it, that'll be a good thing to work on. And I yield, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So I would move approval of the resolution.
Supervisor Gearson moves for approval. Is there a second? Second. Supervisor Gama, second. Any further questions or comments on the item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Number 7. Finance repurpose of joint services capital funds. Matt?
Good evening, Chairman, Supervisors, and YIG members. Matt Lays, Assistant Budget Director for the county. The resolution before you seeks to authorize repurposing $100,000 of surplus joint services capital funds for the county's share to replace a car washing station over at the Fleet Maintenance Building. This station serves both the city and the county vehicles. The existing car wash was installed in 2007. It's nearing the end of its expected 20-year life cycle. It has been experiencing frequent outages and replacement parts are becoming scarce. Without replacement, our vehicles would require off-site servicing, which reduces operational efficiency and causes other issues as well. To explain the surplus in joint services, I direct you to this page of the resolution. It's a budget reconciliation spreadsheet that we prepared that summarizes 5 capital projects, their budgets, as well as the spending over the past 4 years. You'll see a summary down at the bottom left that amounts to the 320,000 surplus. The largest savings came from 2 projects, one being the ERP project and one being the 911 refresh project. The ERP project, the county had budgeted 200,000 for their share. The actual cost was about 99, just short of 100,000. The surplus was due to a limited amount of bids. We were restricted to an on-prem solution, and we only had one vendor for that bid process. Also, there was lower than anticipated pricing, and we also had reduced implementation hours from GFOA assistance, which is Government Finance Officers Association. And the other large savings was in the 911 refresh project. We had budgeted 305,000 in the 2024 CIP, and those savings came from receipts of a PSAP grant, which is Public Safety Answering Point. The county budgeted the project as if the grant was not to be received. So there's significant savings there. Also, there's an expected approximately $70,000 of additional revenue back from that grant reimbursement as well. So that 320 on the bottom left will be even higher, closer to 400,000.
These are all monies that we're not just saying that we're gonna have to go do something later. There are already things that are done that we have a surplus on.
That's correct.
Okay, just for the record to make sure we're clear on that. These aren't things we're gonna have to revisit and then put more money in later. These are things that we've already completed and we have the surplus on. I know that to be the case, but I just want it on the record.
I can comment on that. Just
Sure, go ahead, John.
The only caveat on that, on the 911 project is we have not yet received the grant funds from the state. The grant was approved. We're just waiting to receive the funds, and
That'll be coming. Supervisor Gearson, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was gonna move approval, and if I got a second, I was gonna.
Okay, stop.
Through the,
Supervisor Gearson has moved for approval, seconded by Vice Chair Gaschke. Supervisor Gearson, you have the floor. Continue.
I was gonna, through the chair, ask if Josh wanted to comment at all, but maybe that's all you wanted to say, so. But unless that's all he had to say, then I yield.
Okay. Supervisor Vice Chair Gashby.
I serve on joint services and I just like to echo what Matt and others have said. I know Peter and his team and others have worked hard to find the right car wash that would fit our county's needs. This seems to be a good use of repurposing these funds that are already available. So I would be fully in support of this and ask the committee to support it as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. 8, Human Services Resolution to accept the Vital Strategies Opioid Settlement Match Grant. Rebecca.
Hi there, Rebecca Dutter. I'm the Assistant Director of Human Services. So this is a request for a grant that we wrote and received it's an opioid settlement match grant. So it would match half of our opioid settlement dollars with half of this grant. The grant purpose would be up to, I don't know if you remember, especially those on Human Services would remember that last year we conducted a market study with King Communications where they brought forward some suggestions to us as to how our opioid dollars could be used. Suggestions from around the state, suggestions from the way other states have used them. We incorporated some of those suggestions in this grant when we submitted it. One of them being that they suggested that we work on similar marketing across our county for getting information out about opioid overdoses as well as other substance use disorder information. So this would allow us to use that marketing firm again to put together some of these materials so that we could utilize this and spread this to the other nonprofits and the other agencies that we work with. So we're providing the same information throughout our county. One of the concerns was that people were not getting accurate information. So this would help with the accuracy of providing that. The second would be for us to hire a full-time navigator. This navigator position would link those who have overdosed with the assistance to walk them through recovery. So those of you who've sat on here before know that several years ago, our health department brought forth the SAMHSA grant. That SAMHSA grant was pretty much a lot of what this is doing. That SAMHSA grant is ending. We would like to continue the partnership that we have with the fire department. Right now, we receive daily reports of overdoses across our county. This position would be allowed to then follow up with those folks to ensure that we're not having people repeating with overdoses and we're walking them through the process, whether it's resources, whether it's needing stabilization at our care center, whether it's needing assistance with getting health insurance, therapy, inpatient, whatever it is, this person would be able to walk them through all of those services. This person would also be able to help us with our jail population when they are released from the community. Oftentimes they've been started on some medication assisted treatment and there can be some holes in that system. So that would allow them to then continue to navigate that person through the recovery process so that we can make an impact. We've made an impact, a huge impact on the deaths in our county, but we're still having overdoses. People are surviving those overdoses. But we've had 4 in the city alone in the last 2 weeks. So that still, the problem still exists. And this seems like it would be a really good use of some of our opioid match dollars to be able to make a dent into what our community needs. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Rebecca, you said for our match dollars. So are we gonna, we have money sitting there and that would just be some of our money we would funnel into this.
Correct.
So it would be money we're not going to be able to spend somewhere else.
Correct.
This would be an area we would put some money in.
Right.
And then they would match it.
Correct.
Up to what did I?
$91,909.
Okay. The second thing, and I ask this all the time, you're going to create a navigator position.
Yes.
And it's going to be funded by this money.
Correct.
Okay. So what happens after that?
Well, we will, if it is successful, and I always want to say the caveat is that, we don't want to keep positions that aren't successful. So if this position would remain successful, we would want to continue this with opioid funding. Again, it's a good use of funding to ensure that people don't continue down that path. Right now, this does not exist in our community. There is no one that can walk them through all of these resources and services. It's kind of hit or miss. This agency does this agency does that. Even within the county, Human Services, we've got economic support that helps them there. We've got, behavioral health that helps them here. This would help bring that cohesiveness to them.
You and I've had that conversation multiple times before, more of a funneled approach.
Correct.
Yeah, I always have a problem when grant money runs out, having a position there that the county then is held held accountable for. And I want to make sure that, and I understand that if the results are there, you want to figure out a way to do it and use opioid money, but opioid money is not forever. We want to make sure, down the road that we have this in place and how this works. So is there a way to bring in tangible numbers of the impact of this position?
It's always hard with prevention. We certainly will be able to bring in the tangible numbers of the amount of people that this person has been able to work with and track that success for that year. People with opioid, especially addiction, it's a process. So whether that year will give us a full picture, it's hopeful that we will. Again, going back to the funding of this, the state also received a portion of these opioid funds, and they're required to put those out in some ways. They've been doing that in some grants. So we will continue to write for grants to help support this position as well. I mean, that is always something that's on our radar to ensure that we're not utilizing funds that could be used elsewhere. But I do think that this, even if we had to use this for opioid dollars ongoing, we would continue to monitor it. If you don't know, Human Services has an opioid abatement dollars dashboard. This would be part of that dashboard, so people could watch it in real time, how many, individuals this person is able to connect with.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in prevention as opposed to Narcan and trying to fix it down the road. I think anything we can do up front is where the win is had, i.e. the schools, getting the word out, getting that type of thing out. So, and I've had these conversations with you ad nauseum over the last number of years, but I think this is a move in the right direction. Thank you. Any other members of the committee have any questions or comments?
I move that we accept the matching grant.
Moved by Vice Chair Gashke, seconded by Supervisor Gearston. Any other further comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you for your support.
Corporation Council, a resolution to approve. Here we go, Joe. John. Resolution to approve transfer of outlet to City of Kenosha. Outlet.
Good evening, and my name is John Moyer with Port Council's office. Three different parcels here, or three different transactions, let's put it that way. The first one to the City of Kenosha is a slender slice of land which is contiguous to a roadway. It's in the area of Indian Trails. This one is would seem to make most sense to go to the Kenosha Unified School District. We cannot simply convey it to them, but we can convey it to a municipality, in this case, the City of Kenosha, where the parcel lies, and they can convey it to whomever they choose. It is in the works to have it conveyed to KUSD. I've been in conversation with both the city, who's already approved this through their council, and KUSD, who have told me that they will accept the parcel if the city offers it to them and it's approved by their processes. So this is one where it's an outlet that has really no value to, if it's not developable, it's not valuable, but it is possibly valuable to KUSD because it is connected, or it is contiguous to a, essentially I think it's like a retention pond or area to collect water. The KUSD has told me they've already been kind of maintaining this lot, cutting the grass and what have you. But I'm asking for the committee's support to transfer it to the city, and then ultimately they will do with it what they will, but it's likely to go to KUSD.
Their motion. So moved by Supervisor Gearston, seconded by Supervisor Kirby. Any other final comments, questions, thoughts on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 10, Court Council, a resolution to approve transfer of an outlot to the Village of Bristol.
This also is an outlot that has marginal value. Bristol has agreed to take this outlot. I believe it may have been like a railroad right of way at one point. It's a very long, thin section of land. In conversation with Bristol, they were interested in taking it and ultimately combining it perhaps with a development down the line. Right now, there is no really, on the one side of it, there's really no development. And they were interested, they did approve it in their village meeting. And this all makes sense because as we've talked about getting a AAA bond rating, one of the things that historically Kenosha County got dinged on, if you will, and not getting a AAA rating in the past is these little outlots that are out there, these little stray lands that are delinquent for lengthy periods of time. So we want to keep these, want to clean up that. And that's what this is an effort to do. So I'm asking for support here to transfer this parcel, an odd little strip of land to Bristol. And I think that's a good idea again to clean up the tax rolls.
Been moved by Supervisor Gearston, seconded by Supervisor Kirby. Any questions or comments? I love when staff invokes AAA bonding. It all of a sudden makes me want to vote for it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Last one, Corp Council, a resolution to approve transfer of 8 outlots to the village of Pleasant Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. This one has been in the works for a long time. By that, I mean, for a number of years, I've been in conversation with Pleasant Prairie about these lots. They are various, 5 of them are similar to the last one with Bristol, where they're little strips of land on the edge of a development that for some reason became their own tax parcel. 3 of them are, okay, one of them in Chewauke subdivision is underwater, completely underwater. Another one, there's a couple in 2 subdivisions, Tobin Creek and Country Corner. And those are either retention ponds type lots or outlots in a subdivision. Pleasant Prairie indicated some time ago that they would be willing to take these lots. The one in Country Corners is wooded. I think it might be a wetland. It's you can see in the map, it's behind a property and subdivision, but it's essentially a wetlands. They're interested in these, in the end, once Pleasant Prairie approved on their end taking them, it became clear that they wanted them, they would take them. We had to take the tax deeds because we didn't own all of them on some of these. We've now taken the tax deeds on the ones we didn't own. I'm asking again for support. In this case, they are going to pay a little bit for this land. The number was reached in over time before to try to recoup some of the taxes that were outstanding on the property, but they're relatively minimal, around $3,000 because of the position of these lots. They're just not marketable, developable lots. They're outlots. I think it's wise to do this again for the reasons already stated on the other ones, but I'm asking for your support on these 8 outlots.
Over time, it'll be to our advantage not to own it. Moved by Supervisor Gearston, second by Supervisor Brookhouse. Any other questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you for taking.
Thank you. Number 12, tax deed updates, Reggie.
Reggie Wallagora, Kenosha County Clerk. I'm bringing tax deed properties to you as well, and it's kind of a cleanup for us too. Hopefully you guys were able to review what was sent to you. And I tried to make it as simple as possible. These are, I'll start with the first one. The 05-123-06-101-004. We took this property back in December of 23. We took the property next to it as well. That was taken from Louise Ginkowski. She repurchased the parcel ending in 005 at auction.
Mr. Chairman, sorry. Can I pause? Sorry. Do we have more documents? I wanted the youth and governance to see. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay.
So anyways, this parcel that's left here, that's, got the turquoise, marking around it. It's zoned, it's currently zoned as an IP institutional park, so it can't be used for building anything on it. It's currently being used by parcel 003 next to it. They have a driveway, like a shared driveway on one side, but they've been driving over this property and using this property as well. This is one of the properties that requires us to have monthly landscaping and sidewalk maintenance in the winter. It doesn't serve the county. It costs the county to continue to own this property. We've had it was appraised at 26,000, which seems like a lot. We've had it up for auction twice. With no interest. We've had it available over the counter with no interest since March. And what I'm looking to try to do is offering the property to parcel 003, the owners there, for a minimum amount to cover the tax deed fee and the taxes on this property. And that would get it off of our maintenance and having to spend the money on that. And we're just trying to clean up some of these odd little pieces that really are not very valuable. So
Looking for motions on each of these individually?
I'm
Or are you
looking,
looking for us to approve what you're asking on all of it collectively?
that would be fine.
Okay,
Unless you have questions about this one.
if anybody has any questions on any one individually, we can break them off. Otherwise, she can explain what she wants to, and then we'll vote on allowing her to put them at the prices that she suggests. Please continue.
So the reason that I'm going at just the base to cover the tax deed fee and the taxes is, because if we're can offer it to only this one parcel next to it, it has to be desirable for them to want to spend the money for it. They have not shown interest. I haven't been in contact with them. They've received letters when we had it up for auction previously. But this is just a route I'd like to try with this parcel. The next one is 05-123-06-129-005. Again, we took that from 3, raised at $30,000. We've had it up for auction twice. We actually tax deeded this parcel back in 2018. We ended up not selling it at auction, but eventually sold it over the counter for $5,000. Since that person purchased it, they never paid taxes on it, and now we took it again. According to the city, the lot is buildable, but it is right on 13th Avenue, and right on the other side of 13th Avenue is the train and the viaduct area. I am looking to offer this property, let's see, to the abutting parcel owners for the price of the tax deed fee, the recording fee, and the taxes, which is $22,750.43. Previously, Frank Esposito owns all the property behind it, and he's been interested in this property in the past, and hoping that maybe he would be interested in this price.
So are you gonna put this out there openly or just contact these individuals?
Well, it's been out there openly.
The reason I'm asking is I don't want that guy or whoever paid $5,000 and didn't pay taxes to get the chance to buy it again.
Right.
Okay,
And
That's all you get one kick at the cat.
it would be,
You fail.
this would be offered to, the owner of parcel, 006, which it has been previously, and also to 015. So it would be offered to those two individuals, or property owners. Next one is 11-223-30-301-011. This was taken in 23. It appraised at $30,000. We've had it up for auction twice. For the city, this development, this is a buildable lot with setbacks that the house could be no wider than 16 feet. This property requires monthly landscaping and sidewalk maintenance. The total amount due on the parcel, including interest penalty, all that, is $9,220. I'm suggesting an auction price of $48.50 and offering it to the abutting parcel owner at 010. That would cover our tax deed fees, recording fees, and taxes. This next one is kind of a mess. 12-223-31-277-036. This house sits behind a house. It has no road access. There is on record a 15-foot easement, and that's what the highlighting is for. The house was appraised at $45,000. We've had it up for auction 4 times. In March, we did get a buyer, but then when they found out about the easement, they backed out. The owner of the yellowed out property that owns the easement has been in litigation with former owner of this property that we took, and an owner prior, I believe, about the use of the easement. And the house itself is in really, really bad shape. The basement was flooded. There's a water main issue. There's a broken water to the house. So anyways, the owner of the car wash, which is the highlighted part, is interested in purchasing the property. But he is not interested in paying that much for it. I don't know how much he would like to buy it for, but I'm suggesting that we offer to parcel 037 and 028, the abutting parcels, for $2,750.43 would cover the tax deed fee, recording fee, and taxes, and would avoid any litigation with this property. Seven 04120-083-4080 is in Silver Lake. We took this property way back in 1984. Yeah, so at one point in time, the village of Silver Lake was interested in purchasing it. However, they backed out. They didn't want to waive the specials, which seems kind of silly to me because those are their own fees. But anyways, Edna Highland, who was the clerk at the time, there was a file in the back, and it's a do not sell file, and that's where this one has been found. It's nothing that anybody can do with, that we would have to offer it to the abutting parcel owner. I'm not sure Mr. McFarland, who owns the property next to it, is interested in purchasing it. He's been maintaining it for decades. But what brought the attention is that earlier this year, there's a couple of trees on there, and one of the big branches came down. And so we had to send Public Works out to take care of that and clean it up. And as I state here, I don't think that we would get an offer from Mr. McFarland, and I'm looking to see if we would, if you would be open to doing the same thing we did with one of the other parcels in the city, where we just said, we want to give this to you, combine it with your parcel, and we paid the recording fee, and just get him to take it and get it off of our books. And the last one, we took back in, so 704-120-293-0590. We took this in 1986. This is a landlocked parcel. Mr. Ellis has contacted me throughout time about several of these parcels, which for some reason, I don't remember the reasons for it, but we were able to sell him some of the property. The only thing I can think is it might have been considered a wetland at one time, but it is not a wetland as it right now. This property would have to be offered to the owners of 0595 and Mr. Ellis's property. Mr. Ellis is very interested in purchasing this property. This would be great to get this sold off and combined with the other parcel. And we can't sell it outright to anyone else. And the only $168.13 covers everything that's owed on that property. That's it.
Been moved by Supervisor Nudo, seconded by Supervisor Gearston to allow the county clerk to follow her recommendations that were just stated on the record to take care of these properties. Are there any other questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Audit of bills, is that all signed?
I didn't sign it.
I second.
You didn't sign it? Oh, were you boycotting it?
No, never get it, so. I only do when I'm talking.
All right, Gabe, yeah, sure, that's it. Yes. Okay, report from Department of Administration.
We do have a general fund report here, a AAA rated general fund report.
There we go, that's what I like to hear. We got a flex.
Yeah.
Right.
In usual fashion, we compare month over month, so we're comparing last month's July to August this month. Direct you to the bottom of the report. You'll see that our change to the fund, general fund, is just going down slightly from 100 to 35, so it dropped to 65. We're still above that 29% of expected general fund expenditures. I direct you up to the top of the items causing increases to the general fund. Happy to report that our sales tax numbers are amazing this time. May is our second highest sales revenue month ever. Happy to report that. In a year-over-year comparison of our first 5 months, we're almost $1 million more of sales tax as compared to last year, only 12% higher. So good news overall. Our treasure revenue is up. As reported last month, we had that one-time $380,000 ag use conversion revenue. And we're seeing that the other revenues in the treasury department are almost break even, so we're putting that in line with that. So up 120. There's slight decreases in vacancy surplus, about 85, and then some miscellaneous drop of 50,000. On the bottom of items causing decreases to the general fund, the sheriff's operating revenue dropped about 100,000 related to federal inmate census. Also lower extended supervision revenue. We are going to be addressing some of that in the 2026 budget. And then also our general fund interest revenue line You're seeing a big drop there. It's not essentially the general fund interest. It's more so the unrealized gain and losses revenue account. We're just not seeing the same numbers as we did last year. But we envision that might turn around as the year progresses as well. So overall, we're about break even. Similar to last month. That's all I.
Anybody else on the administration? Yeah, yes, I have.
No.
Vice Chair Genscher.
Matt, just off the top of your head, speaking to sales tax and having such a high amount, is it still auto sales that contribute the most amount of taxes to the county off the top of your head? Or?
I don't know that information.
Okay.
There was a slide in our bond rating that breaks out the sectors. I could report back, or we can have somebody report back on the update on that.
Okay, I was just
If it's
curious.
trending
It's
in any
not a,
certain sector.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
Thank you. I know historically, auto sales have been our number one sales tax generator.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the sheriffs, you said we're missing the number again on the inmates.
Yeah, the inmates numbers, I brought a number. It's just lower than what we had budgeted. We're just not seeing those numbers pump up as we did when we kind of expected those when the rates changed. So
There's two things that get in my craw, and this is one of them. So I am gonna be paying really close attention to the sheriff's budget and how you guys handle that coming budget time.
Yeah.
Because I am tired of looking at these huge numbers in here.
we concur. We definitely are taking a magnifying lens to that budget and getting them more in line.
We've gotta get to the point where we're budgeting real numbers.
Yeah.
And not having it,
Well, I feel
it suck off of other departments in the county.
we're a broken record when it comes to that.
Yeah, I know, so am I, but I'm just putting it out there. And the second thing is Kemper, so I'm just throwing those out there, not that that's any part of this, but I wanna see the revetment issue out there. There's a lot of things I wanna see in this budget, and I just don't want it to be overlooked. Okay, any other questions, comments? Supervisor?
Actually, I was going to keep my mouth shut. Sit down.
You're gonna keep your mouth shut now?
Yeah.
Wow,
I want you to go.
all right.
I guess I'm gonna go on the record just to be salty that I was questioning the sheriff operating revenue during the budget process. Very heavily, because I did think that looked like a realistic number. So I'm not surprised to see this. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Why? We're having so much fun. Why would you wanna do
It looked
that?
like you were like, we should make a motion.
All right, it's been moved by Supervisor Gama, seconded by Supervisor Gearston to adjourn. All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed?
No.
All right.